Just quickly, shout out to the member of the What Do You Mean team that kept this topic I'm starting with high on the priority list. You know who you are. Alright, let's do this. New South Wales Police Commissioner Mick Fuller says strip search of girl at festival doesn't make me happy. Fuller says he's disappointed with the way powers were used, but young people should have a little bit of fear of police. The New South Wales Police Commissioner Mick Fuller says he was disappointed by the conduct of officers who strip searched a 16-year-old girl at a music festival in 2018, but has again stood by the use of the controversial police power. In an interview with ABC on Tuesday, Fuller conceded revelations in the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission hearings last month, which revealed an allegedly illegal search of a 16-year-old girl at the 2018 Splendor in the Grass Festival doesn't make me happy. After a dramatic rise in the number of strip searches conducted by police over the past decade, Fuller says the rate of strip searches was declining across the state as pressure mounts on the use of the practice. There's certainly been a couple of examples recently from the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission where I was disappointed with the way the powers were used, and I'm conducting a personal review into strip searches to make sure that safeguards are being applied, he said. But again, they're not being done in huge numbers compared to other police powers, but at the same time I accept that there is concern around strip searches and I'm taking that seriously. Oh well, I'm glad. Fuller has taken an unusual step of publicly advocating for the use of strip search powers in the wake of a high profile criticism, saying in a separate interview on Monday that young people should have a little bit of fear of the police and that questioning the legitimacy of policing had a negative impact on public safety. He also claimed reducing strip searches could lead to an increase in knife crime, despite fewer than 1% of all searches in the state being conducted for that reason. Asked about it on Tuesday, Fuller said he had not been able to test that data contained in the landmark report from the Redfern Legal Centre and the University of New South Wales, but again insisted that he was concerned about knife crime. In October, the LECC held public hearings into potentially illegal searches which left a 16-year-old girl fearful and in tears. The police watchdog also considering the use of search powers more broadly, including whether police are allowed to force people to squat. This month, the New South Wales Deputy Coroner Harriet Graham released the findings of an inquest into festival deaths, which recommended police dramatically limit strip searches, saying the wholesale use of the practice was of grave concern. But despite saying police were reviewing the use of the power, Fuller defended the high-profile policing tactic at music festivals, which critics, including the coroner, says can increase drug-related harm. You know it would dramatically decrease it? If you don't treat them all like they're criminals, maybe test the drugs when they have them so we know if they're dangerous, and then maybe they might not put them in their bum NOD or take bad ones NOD. Alright, sorry, I'll carry on. Drugs are still illegal, Fuller said on Tuesday. I know there seems to be a romantic feeling about ecstasy, that it's a party drug, but it's killing people. We know drugs are dangerous. We know there's no safe amount of MDMA. We know drugs are consumed in large quantities at music festivals. Now, if that happened at your local pub or club or restaurant, you wouldn't go there, but for some reason, we just accept that music festivals are lawless and that's okay. I don't get why we accept the behaviour at music festivals as different to every other licensed premise in New South Wales. I don't get it. Okay, the article continues on. I'll just give you one primo paragraph from it, and then if you want to read it yourself, links below. But I want to mainly focus on the first bits of this article. But just to sum up what I'm leaving out, despite saying he did not have data on whether it was an issue, Fuller said he believed it was a problem. Oh, the things I have to say about this. Alright, where do we start? I'd say that's about a knee-high pile of bullshit with the knife crime thing. And do you see what they're doing there? Alright, you see, not every overdose is because they consumed bad drugs or too many drugs orally. From people trying to sneak drugs into places and then concealing it elsewhere, that can also cause an overdose because you absorb everything a lot quicker and more thoroughly through your butt, and usually surely if that's the measure you're taking, you're probably bringing more than enough for yourself, probably to sell, so definitely a lethal amount. And the authorities are aware of this, so you got like the coroner being like, you gotta stop strip searching people because they're doing this and that's why some of them are dying. And the police counter with, oh, but what if we just make them squat? Do you reckon the officer that did this was female? Or do you reckon this poor girl got stuck with male officers doing this to her? Do you reckon she even had any drugs? And then question is, why did they suspect her? What would make you go, yep, she's got drugs in or on her persons? What gave them the reason or the suspicion to go after this 16-year-old girl? What, these sniffer dogs, which seem to work so well? Because I'm pretty sure that it's usually they get nothing, especially with the younger kids. And here's the thing with music festivals, especially music festivals in Australia, where they're usually just one-day events that go from 10 in the morning till sometime at night. You're not staying there overnight, you're not camping like festivals in the UK or in Europe. We have one-day events, so it's not like they need to bring a stockpile for tomorrow. Most people already have their drugs in their system. Very hard to get it out of there. I think it's a huge waste of police resources to be doing this at music festivals. If you want to be at a music festival, make sure no fights break out, make sure people have enough water, make sure no one robs anybody else, no sexual assaults, then you are using your time properly. Strip searching 16-year-olds, you're part of the problem. If you really want to deal with the drugs, maybe go after the drug dealers, the manufacturers, because I'm pretty sure that 16-year-old girl didn't cook it up herself. If she did even have anything to do with drugs, maybe look for the odd lab here or there, maybe go hang out at a few dockyards and investigate a couple more shipping containers. Because if you want to feel like you're saving lives, instead of harassing one individual person, maybe go find a fucking bobcat full of drugs and prevent them from getting on the streets, and then you get your little fucking medal, alright? So there, see? We've even got something for you to do. If you want to go hunt down drugs, go join Australian Border Force. Leave the kids alone. Okay, next thing. If they really cared about public safety and health and drugs, and why don't we do something about the drug dealers that have the most money and will cost the most lives? I know there seems to be a desensitization about opioids. That's a painkiller, but it's killing people. We know drugs are dangerous. We know there's no safe amount of heroin. We know drugs are consumed in large quantities at hospitals. Now, if that happened at your local pub, church, or retirement home, you wouldn't go there. But for some reason, we just accept that big pharmaceutical companies are lawless, and that's okay. I don't get why we accept the behavior of corporations that sell drugs as different to every other drug dealer. I don't get it.
The woman living in this home is struggling with an addiction. After the former dairy farmer injured her knees 10 years ago, surgery provided temporary relief, but the pain kept coming back. A doctor prescribed opioids. The pain came back even when the doctor upped the dosage. She also had depression, anxiety, and panic attacks when she tried to quit the opioids.
And I washed them all down the sink, and I thought, well, there's no record of taking them back, and they can't prescribe me anything now for a month. And that was what I did, because I couldn't have anything for a month. But then when that month was up, I was in so much pain. I had to have something to kill the pain. And it starts again.
Opioids like fentanyl, codeine, oxycodone, tramadol, and other such pharmaceutical drugs are powerful painkillers used to treat severe conditions, but are now often prescribed for less serious conditions. In Australia alone, the death rate from opioid use almost doubled over a decade. One study found more than 3 million Australians, or about 1/8 of the population, are getting at least one opioid prescription a year. But with lobbying, a lack of regulation, and government subsidies, the system made these addictive drugs easier and cheaper to get.
But we were just pumping this stuff out into our local community, thinking that that had no consequences. And now, of course, we realise that it does have huge consequences.
Well, I don't want that.
This mother knows those consequences all too well. Her 22-year-old son was prescribed an opioid painkiller after one of his wisdom teeth were pulled. An addiction developed and took over his life.
I never wanted it to have that impact on Mum or other family members or friends, but at the same time, I just wanted to get the next hit.
Big Pharma greed has no conscience, I would say, and it's all about the dollar and pushing those drugs by whatever it means it takes, and the GPs are just useful idiots.
Most opioid addicts aren't informed about the addictive potential of the prescription drugs, making it more difficult to quit.
I don't know what I'm going to do, to be honest. It's a bit scary because I just don't want to. I don't know. But I won't go back to them.
But what statistics can't tell is how many are left desperate and helpless. Rahul Radhakrishnan, TR2 World.
What I'm talking about might save your life someday, okay?
Okay, Mr. Mackey, okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Oh my fucking god, I almost uploaded a whole video without this, so that's why I'm adding it to the end. So you can see what I had to upload and then what came out while I was making it. But in the nick of time, I get to share this horrendous stuff with you all. Back to the strip searching of minors. Alright, this one you actually should be sitting down for. The LECC hearings will shine further light on the use of strip searches on minors after a public hearing in October revealed the alleged illegal strip search of a 16-year-old girl at the 2018 Splendor in the Grass festival. The inquiry heard that the girl was left fearful and in tears after she was forced to strip naked and squat in front of an officer who then looked underneath her. The search took place without a parent or guardian present, a potential breach of police powers. Well, you don't fucking say. Let me fucking repeat that again. After she was forced to strip naked and squat in front of a police officer who then looked underneath her. What the fuck are they doing? But wait, there's more. There's one more thing I want to read to you, and then that's the end of this video. Links will be below. This month, Guardian Australia revealed police performed strip searches on more than 100 girls in the last 3 years, including 2 12-year-olds and 8 13-year-olds.